All right. How are we all doing today? I did forget to post the link in Discord. My apologies. It has been a busy day. Busy, busy, busy. I know I feel like I say this every week and I should probably stop saying it, but my god, this week went by fast. Probably one of my most productive weeks, though. I'm looking very yellow. Let me, there we go. That feels better. Well, it's very fluorescent in my eyes. It'll do. It'll do. Evening, Elvinator. Hope you're doing well. Your list is in this evening. As always, appreciate the problem that I have, which is there's more people who are interested in having their lists looked at than I have time to do so. So apologies if your list doesn't make the cut. Thank you to everyone who supports. If you are here and you're curious about how to get your list submitted, all you have to do is join the Discord down below if you're not there already. If you're a channel member, make sure that you post in the Need Roll channel with your YouTube username, because channel members get priority on their lists being fixed. Try and mix it up so that anyone who had their list looked at the week before doesn't get their list looked at again, unless there's a lack of lists to look at, just to try and make sure that everyone gets a chance. And yeah, I open it up at 10 a.m.-ish BST on a Friday morning for submission. The week needed to end sooner than it did. Sorry to hear that, Carthen. Friday's still the best day? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Happy Pie and Beer Day, says Chithulu. Is it like National Pie and Beer Day or something? Pie and Beer. July 24th, Pie and Beer Day. Primarily in Utah, alongside Pioneer Day.
Rat emoji.
Hey, good to have you. That rat bastard. Rat emoji. I hope you dodge him at the SBC event. Very nice. Both going to an event this weekend. Whereabouts is the event you're going to? I'm really enjoying looking at all the new lists that have been made with all the seeing what people are taking to tournaments. End of August here in Michigan. Very nice. Very nice. You know what? I'm not even going to try and pronounce that word. In Michigan. A faraway land. To the side of world. Well, not really, but far enough away. I couldn't walk it. What list do we have today? And we fixing Seaguard today. Good to see you both. Good to see you both. Oh, there might be Seaguard there. I had a really good time talking to Jack in terms of the video I put out on Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. Also spent an hour editing a YouTube short to see if it made any difference in terms of getting more, trying to funnel more people into seeing the long form video. I think I need to do more testing. It took me an hour to make a 37-second short, which is fully on me. There was definitely some googling in there, like how do I change the aspect ratio in CapCut, not CapCut, Clipchamp, Capcom. That is what I use. I changed the editing software I use relatively recently because I was paying for the Microsoft one anyway, so I was like, I may as well just go for something a little bit better. Should come to LVO and Nova here in the US. Both are amazing GTs. I considered going to a... Oh, sorry. Yes, there will be some Seaguard in the... I got halfway through a thought, and then I got distracted. There will be Seaguard Garrison. I have considered going to both of those events. The problem is, international travel for an event it's a hell of an ask. It's a hell of an ask. And money is tight, unfortunately. And I want to be clear... anytime I mention financials, I feel like I want to make it clear that I'm not trying to like beg for money. Coaching's been like slowed down. Like I've still got a good chunk of students, but the last two FAQs, there was a spike in terms of students, and then up until today, I hadn't had anyone else sign up, and I've now got one-off 1 hour student additional to what I had before. So I'm looking at other things I can do, which I mean, in the short term is good for you because I'm committing to one piece of content every day in August. I might take Saturdays off, and what I'm thinking about doing is shorts going out on a Saturday and then an actual video going out on a Sunday. So just to be clear, it's not going to be a full video or stream every day, but 6 days of the week, I'm looking to put out a video or a short, and I've got pretty far through planning it. I went through and sort of wrote out what I wanted to do, and I've actually managed to plan the full shebang. But yeah, I don't know. It depends. I'm wondering whether the slowdown in coaching is because of the weather. I'm a little worried that Old World is just not a big enough game to sustain doing this as a full-time job, which would be a problem. That would be an issue for me. So, at a bit of a crossroads. Gonna give the full month of August full-time to see if that can make up for the decrease in coaching that I've had, and go from there. But we'll see. We'll see. Gotta give it a go, and if not, I'll have to find something more stable. FAQ's fairly slow. Yeah, but like last time, Amy, the day after the FAQ dropped was where I got like 4 or 5 of my new coaching signups. I think, to be fair, there are things that I can do. I don't know if anyone is as interested in the like mechanics of streaming as I am, which like it's some of the content creators that I enjoy watching. I watch a lot of stuff not related to Warhammer because obviously this is my job, so it's nice to do things that aren't just watching the same stuff. But if anyone is terminally online and saw the event that Kai Cenat ran recently, Stream Rewards, which is definitely much younger than I would watch in terms of content. One of the professors at the event, Ludwig, did a lot of very good content about how to be a good streamer. And I don't consider myself a streamer. I think of myself as like, I guess a coach, then a YouTuber, and then I'd sometimes do live streams. But there's a lot of good applicable stuff in there. So it's, a lot of effort going into just up the game, I think, and see if that makes a difference. Makes a difference. But yes, so traveling to another country for an event is unfortunately well out of the pocket at the moment. I'm fishing around some different ideas for things that I could do. Because I don't want to just, do things worse but for more money. Like, I don't want to be like, let's transition into a slop channel and get more views that way. I don't think that's a good method. So I need to find a way of adding value to what I do. That's the thing. Thank you, Amy. Amy says she loves the coaching. I should do a better job of promoting what I do. I was talking to one of my students, and when I mentioned to him that I was currently working with 6 of the international WTC teams, it's like, you should like know that's not something you talk about at all. So yeah, I probably should do a much better job of being like, hey, I am working with about a third of the WTC teams to some degree. Obviously, I'm the head coach of Team Netherlands, and then I'm working with individuals from various different teams. So I should do a better job of that. To say sustainable, you need to vary your income streams. Yeah. I'm talking to someone who is in the process of adding dice to their repertoire, which is the first I've talked about this on the stream before. I tried very hard to get someone to make dice for me, and people just did not respond to my emails for like 3 months, which was not a great business strategy, I feel like. But I guess they were probably just swamped, and then like, you know what, don't need this one guy's order. But talking to someone who's in the process of adding dice creation to their wheelhouse, so that's potentially an additional thing to add in there. But the problem with additional stuff is the profit margins. You can either, if you charge loads, you're ripping off the people who like you, which I think is morally poor, but also not a great business strategy because you're probably not going to make a huge amount from it. And then if you make it cheap so more people want to buy it, then the margins are low and you have to sell a lot of stuff. There's a lot that goes into it, like battle reports, for example. I'd love to do high quality edited battle reports. That's something that we were talking about in the VIP section earlier, and it's thank you, Beowulf. That's very kind of you. Which is a great reminder that if you want to get 3D printed models here in the UK, but also internationally, you can go to beowulfminiatures.com, and there's even a code in the description that you can use as a discount code, which is the word close order with no spaces. It's a 10%. Thank you again. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that. Dave says you need to aim for morally ambiguous but profitable. I see Rob from Squarebase pretty regularly, and I keep joking that I need to have a right-wing grift. That's the solution. That's where all the money is. Obviously not what I'm going to do. Oh, for fuck. This is why I'm not cut out for streaming. You're both so kind. Thank you so much. I'm not fishing for donations here. Please don't feel like you should do that. You're all very kind and I appreciate that. This is just me.
Comparing the new Chaos Warriors against Forsaken and point for point, and they still are not as good. You get only +2 standard, close order. The Forsaken get a 5 plus WSV, 5M, stubborn. GWWTF? I agree.
British, yeah.
Support the good content. Personally, I am waiting on the Troll Horde strategy video.
Thank you. That's very kind of you, Beowulf. Again, you're very generous. I appreciate that. Yeah, just British. Yeah, I am very British in terms of... tell you what. Okay. Please stop. I appreciate the support, but I'm not trying to fish for donations. What I like to do on the Friday streams is it's great to do the Fix My List, but it's also nice to have a little bit more back and forth with you guys because I don't get to do that on a Tuesday. That's more of like a polished, straight, direct to viewer piece of content. That's where I stand on that. So it's nice to be able to have a bit of back and forth. Is the goal, and it's nice to be able to talk to you all as opposed to not. But anyway, okay. So I've got to filter through. I know you're away at the moment, Amy, but if I'm doing a Troll Horde strategy video, I know I understand you're saying that you're waiting to watch it, but I mean it's probably best if you're in it because I think you're a much more knowledgeable about Troll Horde than I am. So I feel like that might be. If it's something you're interested in, an interview, it'd be good to get your thoughts on Troll Horde post FAQ if you're down for that when you're back off your holiday. Fuck. God damn it, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Dan, I appreciate you. That's very kind of you. For fuck's sake. I'm gonna respond. I'm gonna respond to the chat. Looking at the Chaos Warriors against Forsaken point for point, they're still not as good. You only get +2 combat res. The Forsaken get the ward save, the movement, and stubborn. I don't know. I'm personally a Forsaken hater. I'm not a big fan of Forsaken. I personally don't feel like they add to the army in a way that is super useful. Now, I don't think that warriors add to the army in a way that's necessarily super useful, but I think you can build around them in a way that you'd struggle to build around Forsaken. I think at their baseline, Chaos Warriors and Forsaken are both...
Make me a Moem list worthy of Mordor.
Thank you, Dave. Well, I mean, you've given me money. I feel like I have to do that now. Okay, we'll get to that. Please stop, all. Thank you so much. I'm really not trying to fish for donations. Warriors, I think you can build in a way that is interesting because you can put wizard support in them, but you can't put wizard support in the Forsaken. You could cast dark magic on them, but I think by having a demonology wizard, that's a very clear sort of like straight line of making infantry more useful in terms of giving them the movement and the output. And they also have a good amount of durability, and you can do interesting things with making enemies that charge you strike last, and then also giving you, the ward save in there is quite nice. The durability that you get as well is solid, and the plus initiative from the hand weapon shield attacks as well. So I actually think Chaos Warriors you can do something interesting with. I personally don't value Forsaken, although I'm sure you can do well with them. What they bring does not appeal to me in the way that I play. And I think there are some units that are bad, and there are some units that are just do not line up with my playstyle. And I think it's more Forsaken are in that bucket, but I also don't think they're particularly great. There's a lot of people whose opinions I do respect have told me that you can, do very well with Forsaken, and it's one of the better core choices. I think post Raising of Westerlands, when we've got all of the Marauder options and the new the +1 toughness, that really has elevated Marauders, and I feel like it's hard point to point to look at a Chaos Warrior and feel like it's a great choice when you can just go Marauder Horsemen or Marauders on foot. But if those options didn't exist, I think I would like Chaos Warriors significantly more than I'd like Forsaken still. Right, let's catch up on chat. Dan says, sorry, my finger slipped. For fuck's sake. It's very kind of you. Amy wants a video to listen to on repeating the car. Okay, I tell you what, I need to do an Orcs and Goblins What's Changed video. Although in terms of the I don't want to show the schedule on screen. Partially because I might change some things and it's not complete. I don't want to promise things that aren't coming, but also I would like to Okay, I don't know if this is coming, but I've been told there's a 50-50 chance that we're getting the Arcane Journal for Beastmen and Warriors of Chaos this Sunday, as in, like, it'll be revealed on Sunday. I do not know if this is true. No one I know has it. No one I know has seen it, but I'm pretty out of the loop in terms of links compared to where I was previously. So it doesn't mean that it's not floating around there. It might be already, and maybe there's already rumors about that in terms of it being out and about, but I have been given the nod that it might be coming this weekend. I am... I'm not going to say that. I don't think it's safe to say that now. I'm busy this weekend. Saturday and Monday, I'm not going to be available much. So I'm pre-recording something to put out on Monday. But on Sunday, I'm hoping that at 6 p.m. I'll be able to record and put something out for the teaser for the new Arcane Journal. Hopefully they give us some information. And the stuff about the new casting looks really interesting as well. Hopefully that is something that we see soon. Bob says more content is awesome, definitely welcome it, but the YouTube ad system is so inconsistent. I think I'm really lucky in the position that I'm at. I've managed to, and I think I've done a pretty okay job at it, but also I got into old world content at a time where
Love a good rumor. Tell us more.
Stop sending me money. If anyone's used the code, which I don't know if they have, because I know referral codes are famously poor, make sure that anything that has come through has been taken out of that money that you've sent me. We have a working relationship, and I really appreciate the support, but also I can't be taken advantage. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, I feel really lucky with where I'm at in terms of the YouTube algorithm. So like I'm very consistently getting similar numbers of.
We can buy secrets. I want the Arachnarch secrets.
Oh, the secret is there are no Arachnarok secrets, unfortunately. I haven't heard anything. So I think the closest I got to accurate rumors was when the Beastman Arcane Journal was coming. Oh, and also, like, I was told the match play guide was coming, and I told you all for like 8 months or something. It's like, yeah, no, it's going to be around the corner, and then it took fucking ages. I think maybe I was telling you for 14 months or something. It was like a whole year after I thought it was going to be coming. So that's when I was more connected than I was now. So please.
You aren't my dad, you can't tell me what to do.
Fuck. But anyone outside of England, or Britain, I should say, you probably don't understand how genuinely mortifying this is. But for those of you who are here from Britain, truly do understand. I'm very fortunate that you're bullying me with money, but this is terrible. Fuck. Tell you what. You've got to stop, man. You've got to stop.
Rolling on the floor laughing emoji. Break him.
God damn it. You did say you love a good rumour, tell us more. I don't know if this is accurate, but someone did mention to me, third hand, that...
How much will it cost for you to make GW give Glade Riders faint flight again?
Right. We're gonna address this in order. Thank you, Corathon. So, rumour-wise, I don't know if this is true. I have heard rumblings that there is something in the works in terms of Games Workshop might have realized they need to address the cannons and the regen. I don't know if that's true. This is like 8th hand information. This is the 50-50 I've been told about the Arcane Journal. I'm relatively comfortable with. What that bit there, that's very like blowing in the wind. The birds are whispering in my ears, and I do not know that's true, and also I doubt it's true. It's very against how they do things. They don't like to admit that they are wrong in terms of like having to hotfix stuff or change things, like especially changing things before it comes out. That's where the wider community generally gets very annoyed, and things that we do, the more sort of competitively minded players, while they do permeate down a little bit, us being annoyed about something, or even just saying this is wrong and it needs to be fixed, doesn't really get that far down into the percentage of their paying customers. If I was to hazard a guess, and this is informed guess, but not a like perfect, I would say that out of all of the player base, pardon me, out of the 100% of people who buy Old World miniatures, 10% of them play the game more than once a year, and maybe like 1% of them go to tournaments. Like that's so like us looking at things in terms of like, oh, they've messed up the FAQ. It kind of permeates down a little bit, but it's not. It doesn't go all that way down. And in fact, if you read around on the internet, I think the Old World community at large is more volatile and more angry about the concept of competitive play than any other games. I think 40K's maybe gone the other way. I think it's a little hard to find anything about 40K that isn't in that direction. Or maybe that's just sort of like my personal bias and the sort of places that I'm in. But it does tend to be more vitriolic there. How much will it cost for you to make Games Workshop give Glade Riders feigned flight again? I don't think I know I haven't got any pull, but I'm pretty sure that I don't know. I haven't talked to anyone. But from what I understand of the rules writers of Old World, I think their approach very much does not line up with my content, despite my content being, on the whole, very positive. I am, arguably too forgiving for Games Workshop.
Hashtag angst.
Thank you, Amy. But yes, I don't think that I have any sway, and I could be wrong, and if I'm correct, I don't hold any ill will to them, but I think that the game designers are either not aware of me or would actively dislike me. That's my perception of them. And that's fine. I don't have to be for everyone. Okay, let me scroll up. Do trolls score at square-based events even if they aren't core? Yes. So if we're talking specifically about the TSN Arena, they are now any infantry of unit strength 10 or more do score, which is interesting. Like I'm a little on the fence about it because on the one hand, it means that the games I play at local tournaments are a little further removed from Old World as sort of like a general piece, and given that I make, what I do is make content about the game, it specializes me a little bit more in that direction. But on the other hand, I think it's a fantastic change that should have been put in the core game. I think all infantry should be able to score. Like, it's a band-aid a band-aid fix to make the game better. But I think there are issues with infantry that can't be addressed without completely changing like massive fundamental aspects of the game, like Swift Strike, the movement disparity between infantry, how you charge. They've already made it a little bit better in terms of you don't pay for the wheel, you just pay for the actual flat distance. But it doesn't actually save you anywhere near as much.
My poor pegs that I only just printed and painted.
We'll talk about those. I think Peg Knights are fine. It's a little less brainless. You have to think about how you're going, at people, but they're still very strong, and I think it maybe pushes you in the direction of running 2 units. It just means that I think the Pegasus Knight change means that in the mid to lower tables or like casual games, Pegasus Knights are less of a feels bad, because they were quite binary. Either you had all of the mobility around your opponent, they couldn't do anything, or they had enough shooting to make your life hell. And now, like, a combined arms list is like, oh, I can chip away at them and I can outposition them and they have to charge me in the front, or like my dragon can run past them and I won't get Virtue of Heroism and all that sort of stuff there. What happens at the end of combat? That is the one downside. What I wish they did was that they got rid of skirmish and they gave them lance back. I think that would be a great way of doing it. And they even kind of look like geese, so having them in a flying V would be fantastic. Let's have a look here.
New changes make trolls work, even with stupidity. It's good fun again now. As long as they don't make regen worse.
I promise I'll read your words even if you just type them, Amy. Thank you. Yes, I'd rather they didn't make regen unplayable, but I think the current system where, like, maybe it works in a way where if you've got 1 wound left, you're just invincible as long as you can make a single 5-up ward regen save. I don't think that's necessarily the correct interpretation, but I would like to see it clarified from Games Workshop. Matthew says, you have friends who get annoyed with the FAQ because they don't play it that often. That's fair. Yeah. Like, I get it. It's a little bit... Like, I understand the perspective. I don't think the perspective is right. If you are getting to play twice a year and there's an FAQ twice a year, you could just not use the changes. You could use the core rulebook. You could, whatever you want. And especially if you're playing with friends, it's like really easy to just have a conversation with them and be like, this is the level I want to play. Like, hey, let's do a really fun themed army. I'd love to play my Swordmasters, but I don't think Swordmasters are good enough if you bring your 3 Dragon Warrior of Chaos list or whatever it is. And you just talk to your friends and do it that way. But the attitude of the general player base often is frustration that things aren't directly catered to them. And the problem is, it's never directly catered to anyone. So I think everyone's a little bit frustrated. So I understand the perspective, even if I don't necessarily agree with it. Yeah. Why would I think that Games Workshop wouldn't like me? I think because I'm too competitive. I don't think that is the way that they envision the game being. I think I'm too interested in playing competitively compared to what I've heard about them. And that's not to say that they don't like going to tournaments, the people involved, but it's just, I think the way that I see
like that I can run my badger trolls with my gnomes and not feel like I'm handicapping myself.
My chat's broken. There we go. Your badger trolls with your gnomes, not feel like you're handicapping yourself. That's cool. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. Badger trolls. Is that like a set of 3D prints or something like that? Well, I assume it will be. But like, which company is doing that? Badger trolls, I need pics. Yeah, absolutely. Much prefer the slower change of pace in the old world. Don't want to or enjoy the rapid fire changes that 40k gets. Yeah, I agree. I would like more changes than we got in Warhammer Fantasy. I think the way that Warhammer Fantasy was done was very poor. I'd like less changes than 40k. When I was playing 40k, it felt like a full-time job to keep up and to be competitive. And that, to be fair, the level of play in 40k is higher. There's a lot more like very high competitive level games, and that has, there's some good things about that. There's some terrible things about that. I definitely don't love it. I mean, I'm here now instead of there. Not to say it's because I couldn't compete. It's because when winning becomes the most important thing, there, the top of the field, there are some, I would say, the middle tables of 40k events are fantastic. I had a lovely time playing anyone who was between a 2-3 and a 4-1 player. 99 times out of 100, I had a great time. But then playing anyone who regularly went 5-0, I would say 15% of the time they were people that I would like to engage with again. 40k demanded too much of your time and investment. Yeah, 100%. When I was losing love with the game, I really didn't like 10th edition, so I started like really winding down. I found that it was really difficult to know what I was talking about because I was not putting anywhere near as much time into it. Back to vacation drinking. Lovely. Well, enjoy, Amy. I hope you have a good afternoon. Can't think about badges without thinking about Salamandrastrop. That I have never seen that word before. If I... Oh, hold on. I'll Google it off stream. Oh! Redwall. Man, I forgot about Redwall. What a great series of books.
I heard we were bullying Ed with money.
Damn.
I'm in.
Fuck. They'd all calm down. Damn you, Sean. Thank you. Yes, Phoenix, your X-Force list did make it in. People have been picky on me in a very lovely way. Index Hammer at the start of 8th edition was the last time I had fun with 40k. I think 8th was fun in like a Tetris style approach, where you're like trying to put together an interesting set of rules, etc. But I don't know that it was objectively a good experience given how Planet Bowling Ball the tables were. Right, okay. We're going to start talking about Warhammer. Thank you so much for hanging out and chatting. I appreciate it. It's nice to do this, and it's nice to get to just have a bit of a casual bullshitting. But we should probably talk a little bit about the thing that the stream is themed around. 5e for life. I played 5th edition, but I was bad, and I was a teenager, so I have no idea if it was good or bad. All right. You know what, Phoenix? I see you here. Let's start with you, because you've literally just asked, so I know that you're around. Let me have a look. So you'd put some context in the Discord as well. Let's have a look. I'm scrolling up to previous months. That's no good. Doodle-doo. I think you were about 2/3 of the way down. Okay, trying a new X-Force list with the new FAQ. Building around 2 Death Stars, one with Warriors with a BSB and Thorgrim, and the Thunderer one with Burlock and 2 Gunthanes. Trying to figure if Thorgrim can bring enough punch with hatred and survivability with Unbreakable to compensate for the change to low linear obstacles. That is interesting. That is something that I haven't considered. So I've been... I played... I don't know what I'm going to fit into the schedule. I went 2 wins, a draw, and 2 losses this weekend just gone with X-Force. I had a great time with it. I want to keep iterating on it, and I think the list that I played needs some tweaks, and I have some source that I want to test, but I haven't had a chance to yet. But I don't know if I want to talk about that, because we are taking an X-Force list to WTC, so maybe I want to keep that one a little bit more close to my chest, because that's something that I'm working on. But it's a great faction. It's really fun. The dig-in nerf was bigger than I thought it was. Like, it feels more punishing, and I think you've got to change things up. And I think Thorgrim is an interesting way of doing that. So. Let's have a quick look at Thorgrim. In fact, I'll pull up the dwarf PDF here. I think the top player 40k environment is ancient old world players, unfair perception of competitive tournaments generally. The problem with the perception of 40k tournament players is that now it's pretty good generally overall, but it wasn't always. If we go back sort of like 8-10 years, there was a lot less fair play. However, the mid-tables now you can go, and the expectation and the reality is that it will be a lot of play with intent and a lot of collaborative play, which I think is really positive. Did the trace list make it in? I don't think it did, unfortunately. Let me just have a look here. It did not, I'm afraid. All right, so Thorgrim, let's have a look at him. He is a dwarf king, same stat line as normal, only 3 attacks. I always forget he's got 3 attacks. It feels wrong, especially given how many points he's paid. I know that he's not technically a king, but he's like halfway between. If you're spending 250 points for him, I wouldn't mind that 4th attack. Maybe that's being too greedy, because he gives a lot of buffs, but it does frustrate me slightly. So, he gets Hatred all enemies on him and his unit once you place the Grudge Stone. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. You said it, you become unbreakable, pass, panic, you cannot choose to flee, cannot move, other to give ground, make a follow-up to perform. Yes, so that's solid, and there's no way to get rid of it either, which is... yeah. Limiting the number of attacks to 1 for X-Force was really major. I agree. I actually think there are some positives. Like, I played with a Thane with a great weapon and 2 Runes of Fury. So we had 5 attacks at Strength 6, which was pretty solid. But it's more negative than positive. Alright, so 4 ward save against killing blows specifically or multiple wounds. This is just the worst version of the Rune of Preservation. Just give us a ward save all of the time, and then immune to those. I understand that you can go Banner of Gromril, Banner of Gurgny, which I'm sure they have, but yeah, and then it's Strength 2 AP 1. It's just a worse great weapon. Smiting and parrying. Smiting, though, okay. Smiting is the d6 wounds, and Rune of Parrying is -1 to hit, I think. I'd have to double check that one. That's not one that comes up very frequently. Let me just double check the Rune of Parrying. I'm pretty sure it's -1 to be hit. Yeah. That's interesting, because he's weapon skill 7? Weapon skill 6. Yeah. Alright, fine. I mean, he basically does what we know him to do, which is he gives Unbreakable. That's the value add of Thorgrim. So we've got Thorgrim, who is obviously the general, question mark? No, Burlock's the general. Oh, Burlock's leadership 10. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So Burlock and Thorgrim. Then we've got a Sapper with a handgun and a great weapon and no upgrades. Interesting. And we've got Double Thane. You've got the accuracy rapid fire piercing. Cool. And then you've got accuracy rapid fire bursting flame as well. Double rune of spell breaking, rune of passage. Sure. Have you got another rune of passage? Yeah, another rune of passage here. So you've got 2 runes of passage. You've got 18 warriors and 16 thunderers. 18's a lot. Do you need that many? Let's have a look in Discord again. BSB and Thorgrim are going with that. So you're going 5 wide on the warriors, and they've got great weapons. I'm not necessarily sure I'm sold on great weapons for warriors. Actually, you're going to be 6... Are you 6 wide? 18's a weird number, because you've got the BSB on shield bearers, right? Or is it not on shield bearer? Oh, no, just on foot. Okay, so it is 20, so it's 5 by 4. With hatred. It is with hatred. Yeah, it's true. I actually wonder if a Sapper's just better. So you can ignore the stomps and the impact hits. Infantry hitting wall on the board edge is the great moment of full time. I agree. I've talked about that on stream before. I'm pretty sure I've shown the picture on stream before. I think that's, Wheels, I think is the guy's name. Great times. Sure. Interesting. I don't know if this does enough damage. Like, in terms of winning games, I'm not sure you have enough pressure. That's kind of the issue that I have. So, you can make a very unbreakable brick. But if you're doing the unbreakable brick, which is the warriors, they just go for the thunderers. And the thunderers, in my mind, are much higher value. And they're much worse protected. So you've got the Master Rune of Grugny, which is great, but it's only for your unit. The 6 of ward save is against shooting wounds only for the other units there. So it doesn't actually add. And also, I'd probably go Rune of Battle on there as well, but I understand the points can be tight. So I don't know that all-inning on defending the warriors is the right choice. I wonder if all-inning on defending the thunderers is a better choice. The problem becomes, as I've found, it's very difficult to BSP with the Thunderers, in fact. Okay, no worries, that makes sense. It's very... What was I saying? I can't remember. Oh, it makes sense, because you got the Rune of Courage in there as well. Yeah, it's hard to stack characters in the front of the unit and still get value out of the Thunderers. It kind of feels like they become a vessel for the gun thing. So I almost wonder if it's worth just going more into shooting characters, at which point you maybe loot drop X-Force, but then you drop the scout copters, and like there's a lot of like different considerations there. But in terms of this style of list, I think you've made good choices. I like the Rune of Piercing is fun, and 2 shots means you're likely to hit. 2 shots hitting on 3s, and it can bolt throw through. That can kill like a not insignificant amount of models. It does D3 damage as well, right? Or is it... No, it's Slaying that does the D3 damage. Yeah, so you don't get to, like, multi-use it into monsters for high value, which is a bit of a bugger. And you're only AP 1, but you don't need to... You get to wound, and then they take the armor save, so that's actually not really an issue. Not really an issue. Played 2 games now with the large bases dragons. Wouldn't be a big deal, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. Yeah, it's big. So I actually think X-Force matchup got worse into every other army with dragons, but into Warriors of Chaos, it's kind of similar. Because you can, they're T5 dragons, so you're not bad at shooting them off the board, and also it's harder for them to get multiple dragons into you, and you can just challenge them out at that point. I think... Okay. Within this list, I think you formatted this list well. I think you have, like, for the idea, I think you've maximized it pretty well. I'm not 100% sold on the idea, but within this idea, I would change the 2 solar copters to a unit of 2. If you go for a unit of 2, they're actually able to win some fights between the impact hits and the 4 attacks they have, but also the unit strength 6 for the 2 of them, so you can go out and touch enemy baggage trains. So there's value there. I really rate the units of 2 regular copters. Maybe more than I rate the scout copters, actually. I was very underwhelmed by the scout copters this weekend. But I do like a unit of 2 gyrocopters. And it also keeps you drops lower, which is not awful, because you're a pretty high drop army here. Although I guess with that in mind, it's maybe better to just go for more drops. But yeah, I don't know if you need the Warriors. I think you could go all in on the Thunderers and then add Thorgrim to it. You would need probably some level of infantry, just in terms of the number of models, because of the 50% rule if you go for a bigger unit of Thunderers. So maybe it's just like a unit of 16 Warriors, or 17, if you want to play around with the marching column. Not even bother giving them drilled, because they don't want to charge. They just want to stand on a point and live with it. I found, because I paid for the drilled and great weapons on my Warriors, and I found it was completely pointless in the games that I played. That's not to say that they're never good, but I didn't get value out of it myself. So I'm pivoting towards 17 Warriors, hand weapon shield, full command, banner of courage, rune of battle. No other upgrades. I'm not going with Strala's rune, because if you're marching 9 inches anyway, you only need to go like 6.5 inches to get onto an objective, so I don't feel like that's super value for me. It might change depending on your pack. And, if you're using it more as a melee unit with Thorgrim, sorry, then you can get more value out of it. But I'd be tempted to go... okay, so in terms of the list, in terms of what you've got here, I think you've maximized the theme well. I don't see anything that's obviously missing, although I think it's a little bit sad that the Sapper doesn't have anything. Like, I'd like to find some points to give them at least 2 shots. 2 shots and accuracy, I think, is... Like, it's a lot of points, don't get me wrong. Accuracy rapid fire is 35 points, but it gives you a magic gun. So you can pop out, you can shoot Banshees, you can shoot Hex Wraiths, you can try and finish off something, but also just having 2 more shots than the standard shoot, I think, is really nice as well. So I'd like to find those points, which would probably come from core. Like, I don't think this unit of Warriors needs to be as big as it is, but generally I think the list is solid. So I'm not going to tweak it here. That's just me telling you what I would do there. But then if you're going like more into the Thunderers, and you can still put some characters in there. So, like theoretically, you might end up putting one of the Thanes in there for shooting anyway. But so let's say you go 17, and then you go... I honestly don't think the dwarf cart's needed. Like, I think it's interesting. I actually feel like the miners cart is better, which sounds bizarre, but you can't stand and shoot with either of your units if your opponent is close. Obviously, the warriors don't have the ability to stand and shoot, and the unit that is the Thunderers, they don't have quick shot on their guns. So I actually was considering going for a miner's cart. I don't think the +1 movement makes too much difference. I would personally cut it in terms of drops. It's also a drop that just makes it obvious where you're going, and then I think I'd go more effort into the Thunderers. So just make sure we're going battle. I like shield bearers, but it does chunk out the front of your unit, and you do have to accept that maybe you can't get away with that sometimes. 12 points over. 12 points over. You probably drop one of the spell breakings here just to make this work. Two is better than 1, but like we don't have very many points. And then I was really disappointed by the cannons this weekend. I was not impressed. I personally, and I know I just said that I wasn't super impressed with the Scout Gyrocopters, but they are mobile, and you can keep them alive if you need to. So like a second unit of Scout Copters there, and a second unit of regular Copters with just the rest of the points in like more Thunderers to make a bigger unit. This is the direction I'd personally go in, or I'd personally test. And you'd have to cut 2 points here. What would I do? What would I do? I might even just drop the shield on the Runesmith, full plate, and the Great Weapon. 3 up to 4 up is like good, but it's not that good. They've got a lot of characters they want to kill. Definitely not this one. This one wants to live. This one wants to live because it can't go shield. Yeah, screw it. Like, this is probably wrong. Like, you could fish around for those last 2 points in different ways, but I think this is an interesting way to build out the list, and the direction I'd go in. Again, I think what you did was good. Hence why I haven't tweaked it too heavily. Gun things have quick shot. They do, yes, yeah. So it's nice to get that, but it's really nice to get a little bit more shooting, especially if we're talking like you're being charged by a dragon. Because if we look at the actual output of the blasting charges into dragons, into T6 dragons, it's the same. That's the secret. It's the same. You know, your strength 3 doesn't matter. Wounding on 6s anyway. Your AP -1, same as a handgun. Yeah, armor bane 1. You're going to be an extra armor bane 2 because the runesmith will be in the unit as well. You've got flaming attacks. Doesn't matter. Again, you're going to have the runesmith in there. So yeah, I actually think the dwarf cart is an interesting add, and it's one that I'm probably going to try and fit into my list. But yeah, it's an interesting list now, and I think if you are, here's my take on this. I don't think anyone here in the UK, except for maybe Richie, but I know he's been very busy recently. He was playing Gyrocopters early on, so he knows what he's talking about. But I think generally, the UK is very behind in terms of X-Force. So even though a lot of the content comes from this country, I think this is probably not the best place to get your information about X-Force. I'm admittedly mediocre to okay, I think, with X-Force. I understand how to play against them. I had a bit of I had a poor run this weekend, but I think some of that was in terms of matchup. Some of that was in terms of, like, you know, misplay. I'll talk about that in a video at some point. But, and also some of it's list. Like, I don't think the list that I put together 1 week after the FAQ was perfect, especially for the meta I was in. But look to Europe, like, especially sort of Belgium, Germany, that sort of area on a map. Have a look at the listings for people playing X-Force. That's where I first notice some really interesting X-Force lists, and I think that's typically where maybe the better X-Force players are from. I might not be right with that, but that's my perception. Hey, how you doing? Thanks, Dave. For anyone who missed that, in chat, Dave said to me, skill issue, when I said that I was not the best X-Force player. That's fun. I like it. I wonder if a minus cart has ever saved a cannon from light cavalry by giving them a silent shoot. That's fun. How do crew interact with that? Because I'm just clicking now instead of clicking the right thing. Dwarf crew. I don't think they're individual things, right? This is something I should probably know, but this comes up so infrequently. How War Machine? I don't think there's a space between War. Oh no, there is. Okay. War Machines, split profile. The crew, the single model. Yeah, so the crew are a single model, which means if you gave blasting charges to the dwarf crew, they'd only get to throw one blasting charge, which is dumb, and probably not how it's intended to be. But, yeah. You look for sure. No worries, Phoenix. I would be interested in hearing how you have experience playing with X-Force. So if you do, put any sort of like write-ups, or like if you talk about them at all in terms of your experiences with X-Force, please do ping me in the dwarf channel, assuming that's where you're talking about them, because I'm consuming a lot of dwarf content at the moment because I really enjoy the playstyle and I want to get better with it. And I've got some secret sauce that I need to test out. And if the secret sauce is bad, I'll tell you about it and then say don't do this. And if the secret sauce is good, you'll find out no later than the end of September. You can ignore me, I'm full of painkillers. I'll never ignore you, Dave. Never ignore you. Okie dokie, so that is that. And then there's my Seaguard garrison list that I wrote earlier. Logan's in chat, and I did see Logan say weapon skill 6, Chryson, Lizardmen, and Ogres. And Logan has submitted a Lizardman list. Very fun. Very fun. Consuming dwarf content sounds like a troll talking. I've never been so offended. I can't believe you'd say such a harsh thing about me, calling me a troll. Disgraceful. Disgraceful. These are the, this is what I've signed myself up for. A life of abuse by the people who watch me. Lizardman. Can't use new Renegades draft, as you have... can't use new Renegades draft, full stop. I have another Carnosaur, but wasn't sure whether to run 2 or 1 with the Cold One character to add some punch to the unit. Also, Bort is fun, but maybe Glyph for the 5-up ward and the MR2 would be better. Bort. This is a 1,500-point list. Everyone needs more lizards in life. I'd love to play some lizardmen. Like, the dwarves are one of my pet factions that I've loved, and I think I've probably talked multiple times about loving them. Dwarves and forest spirits are like up there in terms of factions that I love that I haven't played. But also forest spirits, tree spirits, whatever you call them. Lizardmen are one of the factions that I'm just like, oh, these are really fun. But I just haven't found a way to make them work in a way that I want to play them. Main thing was abusing Diggin with 3 sappers winning a tournament with it, so that's why I'm back at the drawing board. Yeah. Like, I think that the change to low linear obstacles is probably good for the game, but also I wish dwarves had gotten a little bit more to compensate for it instead of 5 points off their cannons, which I've taken out my list. Okay, so Logan's Lizardman. Saurus Oldblood, Blade of the Revered Zunki, Charm Shield, Heart of the Cold Ones, and Horned One. So I'm not super into Blade, because it's only +1 strength, right? If I remember correctly. 65 points for +1 strength, ignores all armor saves and ward saves, to be fair, and magical attacks. It's good, but I think... Oh, you've also paid for a great weapon here. Remember, you can't use if you've got a magic weapon, you can't use your non-magic weapon. It is one of the rules that people seem to get wrong the most. Not saying that you were necessarily doing that. You might have just clicked both. But it's worth knowing. Anyway, I think I'd just go Great Weapon. Like, Great Weapon's just generally really solid. You've got 6 attacks on the charge. Your weapon skill 6, sure, but your strength 7, AP 2. Into a lot of targets, that's going to be really good. And into the targets where you need to cleave through that ward and armor and ward, because they've got high value on both, I kind of feel like you lose that combat anyway, because it's probably monsters, right? So that's where I'm at with it. I don't think you're tanky enough to go toe-to-toe with a dragon to where turning off their ward and armor save is worthwhile. I might be wrong on that. I've never done the numbers, but that's very much how I feel about it. Was between flipping back and forth. Yeah, I figured that might be the case. But I think I would go for, as you pointed out, MR2. A ward save on a character in a unit of cavalry is nice. I don't think it's a necessity. I think it's something that I could give up here and there. But the MR2 is really, really solid. And paying the discount there, because a 5-up ward and a MR2 should come in at 70 points. So between the two of those, going down to 45 is great value. Then you've got a Saurus on Carnosaur, Talisman Protection, Armor of Meteoric Iron, BSB War Banner with Great Weapon. Interesting. Oh, because you can only run a single Old Blood. It's interesting you've done it this way round. Because the Old Blood's in a unit of Cold One Riders, right? Hide of the Cold Ones is... Oh, is that the +1 to your save? Yes, sorry. In my head, I thought you'd given them Horned One. Oh, you had given them Horned One as well. +1. So remember that... I assume that you know this, but by taking Horned One and losing the Stupidity on the mount and getting +1 movement speed, and then also hide the Cold Ones, you still have Stupidity because the Magic Arm is giving you Stupidity. I'm assuming that you understand that, and you're taking it purely for the +1 movement, so you can take it outside of a unit. Is that the goal? I probably wouldn't bother with that because you're probably going to keep it in the unit most of the time. I know I've talked about having the solo characters rocking around, but I don't know that this is the one because of Stupidity more than anything else. Cold Ones seem to struggle with heavy cavern monsters. Have you got Totem of Wrath on here? I think you want Totem of Wrath. I think that makes a big difference in terms of being able to deal with them. I know that you're then not getting -1 to be shot, and you're not turning off stand and shoot, but I think if you're taking this unit, you want to double down on what it does really well, which is cleaving through with impunity. What you could do, if you felt the need... In fact, I think we should probably do this. Let's do this. So we're going to swap these characters around. And we're going to go for the BSB in the unit so that you can have both banners. Because I think Sun Standard is a good choice to make sure that the unit isn't just falling over and dying. And going from, weapon skill 5 when you're a cavalry unit to 6 is not it's not a big deal because you're probably not fighting lords. You're probably not fighting stuff with high weapon skill. You probably want to go in and kill stuff. The break point on weapon skill 5 and weapon skill 6 into anything that's weapon skill 2, 3, 4, it's all the same. Obviously, weapon skill 5 itself is worse, but yada yada. We'll still go Glyphoret Necklace. I think that's solid, even though you've only got 2 wounds there. And then you can't also go for the Horned One as well, but I think that's fine. Honestly, we'll give you a shield so you can tank a little bit more if you need to, and then we go for the Old Blood General. And also, because they're your general, they give you, on the large target, the bubble, the 18-inch bubble of... leadership. Obviously, you lose the 18-inch bubble of BSB, but it's kind of give and take. 1A, 1B. Talisman Protection, and also Meteoric Iron. And I don't think you gave them anything else, did you? Just had a BSB on here. I don't hate Arch Lightning Rod, honestly, with this model. Like, at 1,500 points, maybe you don't bother, but just as a general point, I think that's very good. Okay. For an occasion where you need to pop an ethereal unit, but if you're not taking blade, it's not worth. Yeah, that is an issue with this sort of style of list. That is an issue. You've got Skinks. You've got Vanguard. Oh, because it's 1 per 1,000, so you can only take 1. Cool. Yeah, this looks good. I personally would prefer 16s, but 17 on a heavy infantry unit that doesn't really care too much about charging. I can get behind that. They can't take magic banners, can they? No, that's so sad. So sad. I wouldn't mind shield wall on them as well, but I don't know that I want to pay the points. Because we are looking very specifically at a 1,500 point list here, so it's harder to build around. But yeah, I think this is good. I feel like I'm missing something in terms of the build. But no, I think this is it, and I think we just then bulk out the points here on everyone else. I think this is the way to go. 2 units of 16, and then I guess a unit 14, unit 13, something like that. Really sucks you can't take banners on the core unit. I agree. Lizardman did get screwed over. Skink Skirmisher Trawlers, tell me about it. Obviously, I've had Pip on the channel a couple of times now. Pip is a phenomenal player. He's very, very good, and he has played very well with specifically Lizardman. And he's played well with Lizardman before they got Renegade changes that made them much more playable. So yeah, I've experienced Skink trauma. I've also experienced Skink trauma back when he was running 6 units of them, because this was before, limits to rule of 3 and stuff like that. So that was nasty stuff. Nasty stuff. All right, who else have I seen? Let's go with we'll go with the Elvenators, because the description that they put on their list fits into the notes here in Old World Rankings, so it saves me having to tab and scroll up into Discord. Elvinator says, after seeing the updates in the FAQ, I thought I'd try and make a list involving some of my favourite models of War Dancers and Waywatchers. Good choices. Those things, their stonks have gone up. Just not sure if I'd have enough stuff to hold objectives and would appreciate some general advice on the list. Thanks. Absolutely. Dryads. I love Dryads. I think they are really solid. Have you also got... No, okay. It's hard to fit in. I really like having the level 1 Illusion Branch Wraith with them for more durability, but it then really skyrockets the points, so it's understandable not to have them. Okay, so Waywatchers, Bodkins, Beast Pack with 2 Hounds. I've seen that some places have ruled that your movement is only the majority of the unit, and through their interpretation, you have to have 2 Deepwood Hounds to get the extra movement. I'm assuming that's why you've got that here. That's not how any of the events I've been to have ruled it, but for anyone curious as to why you'd go 2, I think that's probably the reason. Okay, Waywatchers with Arcade Bodkins, just generally a good choice. War Dancers, yep. Monster Hunter Tapestry, yep, good. Glade Guard, Glade Riders with Springtide, Dryads, Waystalker, Shadow Dancer, Spellweaver. This is pretty heavily based, I think, on the winning list that I've forgotten his name. I want to say his name is Aiden, and I'm fairly certain I'm wrong. But the Wood Elf player who won the Edinburgh GT recently with Wood Elves. This is very heavily based on his list, I believe. And when I say that, I think there's very little to tweak. I do agree that it's quite low on scoring. But in terms of, like, low models, this unit of Dryads are very good at holding. They can either... Well, they're regular infantry, aren't they? Regular infantry, yeah. So you have to be at least 5 wide. I'd go for 1 more model, because sometimes you might want to be in... what's the word I'm looking for? You might want to be in open order for the rank bonus, because then if your opponent's got dragons and you want to stand on a point but they're going to come towards you, you can be in open order, rank, infantry outnumber for 3 static combat rares. It's not incredible, but it's not the worst. Gives you a little bit of something to not just immediately lose combat. So I do like 16, and the reason I like 16, sorry, I realise I didn't explain why, is you go 3 ranks of 5, you have a model out the back as well, and then when you challenge and they kill the unit champion, you still have 3 ranks, which is the equivalent of 2 ranks of scoring, but you've got that front rank as well. So, yes. This character, I feel like this character is worse without Ruby Ring of Ruin, but I don't know how we fit it in, because I think all of the choices here make a lot of sense. I think the choices here make a lot of sense. I don't want to drop anything there. Although you could probably drop the Glade Knight. It's not, like, because we're trying to shave points, it's not actually super important to have that on there. It's important to have the Musician, and Banner of Springtide's really nice. Swift Shiver Sards. I would go Arcane Bodkins. 2 shots that are bad doesn't actually do much compared to 1 shot that is better. The Swift Shiver Charge, obviously the whole unit's got quick shot. You'll be hitting on 4s instead of 3s, so you go from an average of 0.6 hits to an average of 1 hit, which is nice. But then if you're trying to kill stuff that's going to be like skirmishing and sort of playing around the edges and maybe in cover, True Flight Arrows does that job better. And if you're not, you're probably shooting into something that's armored, and that, -2 to your armor save makes a big difference. If you're shooting at someone with a 5-up save, once you've done wounds, that 0.6 will stay 0.6, whereas the one hit becomes 0.6 overall. Anyway, the point being, I think that Bodkins are better at what you want them to do, or drop the banner for points and go for True Flight Arrows, and then just use them as the killing the small units. We do need a few more points, though. I think it's probably just we drop 1 model here. Like so, and then we've got 12 points left, which means we can go 1 additional model, which is probably, the Glade Guard. Like, I don't feel like Glade Guard... I don't think it makes a huge difference to have an additional one, but it just gives you a little bit more durability in terms of if you're playing against enemy shooting. Hey, Zephyrus, your Sea God list absolutely did get in. We can look at that one in a second. But yeah, I think this list is good. It's very, very heavily based on the list that won. Obviously, you dropped the Treekin, which I need to see on the table, because I've played against Treekin. Don't get me wrong. I played against a big unit of 7, but that was in the realm of the TSN arena, where all infantry score, which is obviously great. But in the world where infantry outside of core doesn't score, I'm curious about them. I need to see how they function, I think. So, yeah, that's something that I'm curious about anyway. Maybe his list doesn't do so well without those 5 Treekin split across 2 units. Maybe that's something that's actually, very integral to how the list functions. I think it's hard to say without having seen it on the table. But I'm really pleased to see Combined Arms as a list that's doing well. All right. Zephyr says, Hi Ed, please see my prototype Seaguard list. Think you're starting High Elves, coming from a Tomb King only player so need to learn how ballistic skill shooting and psychology works. Looking for advice. I love the Seaguard sculpt and the Moorworm. Even though I know it's bad, I'd like to include it if possible. Ishai Vess, the Commander on Foot, and the level 1 Mage all go in the larger Seaguard unit, and the Noble goes with the Shadow Stalkers to give them an extra -1 to be hit. Okay, so I will fix this list. Absolutely fine. What I'm going to say is, I don't know what level of competition you're aiming to play. If you're not expecting this to be, going toe-to-toe with the best or even, second tier lists in the meta, I think this is probably something we can work around with. I do think there is scope for Seaguard Garrison to play well. And after talking to Jack, I'm writing lists. I don't really want to buy them, but what if I got 5 or 6 Skycutters and put characters on them as well? So I think there's definitely something here. But if we're taking a Seaguard Garrison list and playing it more traditionally and also putting a Moorworm in, I think it is you're going to struggle to compete to an extent with the more competitive armies. So I will fix the list. Just wanted to give the preface here that when you're playing a good army, having something like a giant in there that takes up, 10% of your points or something like that, that's not the end of the world. When you're playing an army that's already struggling,
yes. Fellow Moorworm enjoyer identified.
Thanks, Dave. God damn it. I have someone in all of my streams for every bad monster that's so excited to see each of them, which is great. And, I love that you're all enthusiastic about things, but you are here to make my life difficult. Also, funny enough, they're all my coaching students. Amy's obviously here anytime Bone Grinder Giants or Ragnaroks get mentioned. And Dave's here every time there's a Moorworm. Probably just need someone to, every time someone says Jabberslythe to get really jazzed, although nobody ever says Jabberslythe. The Moorworm would have looked so good in Troll Horde, Shamets and Elves. And also if it had a regen. If it just had some level of defense, I hate the Moorworm. When they revealed the stats, I was like, okay, maybe there's something here. Maybe we're waiting to see what the defensive profile is. It's T6 with 6 wounds. Okay, cool, sure. It's got Abyssal Cloak, which makes it slightly harder to kill with ballistic skill shooting. Well, ballistic skill shooting, not really a concern, because it's a Moorworm. It's T6. It's not going to die to small arms fire unless we're talking skinks, so that kind of doesn't really matter at all. And the skinks are going to get close anyway. It's got a melee defensive or offensive buff. I guess defensive buff. -1 to the strength of any enemy models specifically in base-to-base contact with you. All right, cool. So, especially with Press of Battle, things are just... most of the models are not going to be in base-to-base contact with you because it's only a 60 by 100 mil base. And then you look at the defensive profile and it's only got a 5-up armor save. It has no ward or regen. It's so sad. Okay, cool. It must be cheap then. Maybe if this is 140 points, I can see it. It's got impact hits and stomps. That's cool. No, it's not cheap, actually. It's one of the most expensive monsters in the game. Well, what are we talking about? It's so wild. It's so wild. Jabberslythe. Are you taking that one, Mathia? Are you the one who's going to get excited about the Jabberslythe? In 6 months' time, when someone mentions that, you're going to have a great time. Don't forget Flamespires. I do regularly forget Flamespires. It's a shame the Moorworm doesn't get its regen anymore, so we had it 1 in 8. I think it did. I seem to remember looking it up in the lead up to what was coming, and I was like, oh, this seems very, very solid. And the same disappointment I felt when whatever the Praeton came out for Beastman. And I was like, oh, it just has no defensive profile, so it just dies. But at least that thing's fast and cheap. Because this doesn't even have Swift Stride. Doesn't even have Swift Stride. Oh, sorry, Matthew. Your favorite model is the Cockatrice. It is a cool model. I do agree. All right, let's have a look at the list then. Let's have a look at the list. Not expecting to play super meta. Would be keen to get your take on a full meta list and a flavorful. Okay, so the full meta list. Go and watch the interview I did with Jack. His list is great, and it's better than anything I have come up with to this point for them. Although I do like a Shia Vess in the Seaguard. I'm still like, he made a compelling point about the Razor Standard, but he was saying, the way that Warhammer's Old World has won is by spiky dice. I was like, I understand his point. I don't know that I agree. I get what he's saying. And I'm still not a Razor Standard stan. I would rather have a Shia Vess if you're going for something like that. Because he wanted the BSB in the unit so you could re-roll like break tests and stuff, which is very valid. I think you get 90% of the way there just by paying a point per model and giving them Veteran. Obviously, you don't get to re-roll the break test, but then you can replace the BSB who was in his unit with a Shia Vess. So let's have a look at this list. A Shia Vess, good start. 27 Lothan Seaguard with Veteran Drilled, Shields, Full Command, Bonsanta Tapestry, Obsidian Lodestone. This is a good loadout. I like it. Banner of Confidence for no -1 to be hit. I don't know that... I mean... The problem is they don't have Quick Shot. So I think a lot of the time you're going to find that actually people just don't get close enough. I would rather... Because they're actually quite squishy. Maybe something like Banner of Swirling Wind to be -1 to be shot. It is a very different setup, but at least it protects them in a way that I think they could do with being protected. Then we've got Charm Shield, Reaver Bow, Ring of Fury. Yeah, I'm not sold on the Ring of Fury. I think... Like, it does obviously add punch if it goes off, but I think it's so unlikely to go off that I don't value it. And also, if you're being charged, you don't have strikes first. Oh, you do have strikes first. Oh, yeah, I've got strikes first. Okay, Ring of Fury is back in. In my head, they didn't have strikes first. I don't know why. I still don't love it, but I can see it. Illusion Seaguard, level 1, Mage. Give him a Warbow for free. I mean, sure. Do I feel like it needs that? I don't feel like it doesn't need it. -1 to hit is just a nice defensive profile anyway. Alright, sure. And then you got the Sky Cutter, Bow the Seafarer, Charm Shield. If you're going to be mobile and shooting, let's go for... let's double down against the second piece there. Have you used the regen? I don't think you've given anyone a... Yeah, okay. I don't think... You've given anyone the Seed of Rebirth, so let's give this model the Seed of Rebirth. Cool. And then we've got the level 3 illusion piece. That makes a lot of sense. And then we've got the Noble with Sacred Incense and Shadow Stalker, Bow of Avalorn. Yep. Yep. With Lawmaster's Cloak. I think this is the thing that I don't think is worthwhile. I think this is 125 points that adds very little value to your list. I'm not opposed to you running it if you really like it, but I don't think it's actually adding to how good the list is. It just adds to the cool, because you've got a cool character to go with your cool unit. The -1 to hit that unit is great, but I also just don't feel like it's relevant. Either... Someone's going to... Because you can... Like, if you want them to be... not get shot, you put one model behind another unit or behind a piece of terrain, and then suddenly you're -2 to be shot by ballistic skill shooting, and just nobody touches you anyway. You're probably at long range or whatever. It's very easy to make it hard to interact with them ballistic skill shooting. But... and also, you've got evasive in there as well, so you can really... you can really mess with people. So I don't think Sacred Incense does much. I'm gonna take this character out because we're already spending more points, and I think the changes that we've put in are more important, and we can look to upgrade things more. I think the Mage is also lower on the level of importance, but it's not bad. Like, I don't hate it. I would like to see some level of defense for it, though. I know, like, I don't know how you make it tanky. Actually, is the problem. I really don't know. The Stormweaver. It's a good build. Seaguard Garrison Commander, both the Seafarer. Let's see the Rebirth. What if instead of Cedar Rebirth... No, it's too many points. It's too many points. Too many points. Okay, sure. You got me with it's cool to have a cool dude with my unit. That was my thinking. Yeah. And that's fine. Like, I'm gonna optimize this list, and then you feel free to unoptimize it to your heart's content. There's nothing wrong with that. Can we fit MR2 onto Ring of Fury? No, we just can't. We just can't fit it in unless we make some cuts elsewhere. No, that's fine. That's fine. Let's go 14 models. And then I think this unit, this Reaver unit, is awful. And if you want to run them, that's fine. But I think what you're paying for, 191 points, you're getting 8 shots that are mediocre. And you're getting, some Cav Spear attacks that are mediocre and a Ring of Fury that's mediocre. I don't think this has the combat punch you want it to have. What I would do, get rid of all that. Get rid of all that. Because in my mind, that's like a skirmishy, harassing, combat-y punch army. You want that? Noble Griffin. It does, I think, everything that unit of Reavers does better, with the exception of the shooting's worse, because, 8 short bow shots is still, it's not anything. I don't think it's good, but it's not, there's something there. And it doesn't have skirmish as well. Those are the 2 things that it's lacking. But this can, it's unit strength 5. It's a really good support piece for charging in the flank and supporting the Sea Guard, because you can disrupt enemy ranks. You've got like a good amount of output. It's tanky enough. You can go into the back lines. You can try and deal with enemy cannons, stuff like that. Or you could just put someone on another chariot. But I think the Griffin adds a surprising amount. Armor of Caledor. There we go. That's what I was looking for when I was chuntering. Armor of Caledor, shield, great weapon. Love those Reaver models. Felt so bad putting them rare when they're core in the Grand Army. And you know what? It feels bad. In my mind, it feels bad putting them in core in Grand Army. I am harsh. I am very harsh on them. And I've just poured a little bit of coffee down my chin, because I'm a big boy who can drink drinks. Reaver's tasty in Battle March if you love the minis. I think that's a great point. I think they are a unit that is very solid in smaller point levels. And one of the videos that I have planned on my schedule for August is what units are bad at 2,000 points but are good in Battle March. And I think that's a really fun concept to play around with. Never thought we'd reach the timeline where Ed was doing a Seaguard list as a legit... Jack's convinced me. So, okay, let me link you this one. There's still 5 points in it. You can always tweak around those last little bits. I don't think it's super relevant getting bogged down here. Zephyrus. There we go. I did like, Dan, by the way, that your username is... or was it you? I thought it was you. That was Dan H brackets Zephyrus on YouTube. I think that was you. Zephyrus Dan H. Yeah, that's the one. Or it's changed from earlier. I was like, oh, I know exactly who this person is now. Excellent. Or whichever way around it was. I've had so much coffee. I've drank too much coffee this week, and it's one of those where you have the symptoms of a panic attack, but you know it's just the caffeine. I'll be cutting down again after this weekend, sorry. Reaver should have a reserve move. I think so. I think they're very sad. I think they are disgustingly sad, in fact. This is the version of the list, and tell you what, I'll put it into chat as well. So this is not my version, necessarily, of Seaguard Garrison. This is because Square Base Comp, you get 2,600 points for for Seaguard Garrison, I think. This is me adapting the 2,000 point list that Jack had and make it 2,600 points. So basically, I added a Shire of S. There's double Garrison Commander on the Skycutters there. There's one in the unit with Ruby Ring of Ruin and Army of Caledor as well. Oh, thank you, Matthew. Appreciate that. Good to have you. Oh, by the way, anyone who has subbed themselves or has been gifted a sub, please do post in needs role, and after stream I will make sure to apply your role so you can access the Discord. That is important. Yes, then I've gone for 1 unit of Seaguard Garrison, Lothan Seaguard, 2 units of Shadow Warriors, both with ambush, 1 unit of Ship's Company as a detachment. The reason they're a detachment is to keep the number of drops lower, and then 3 Sky Cutters and 6 Bolt Throwers. This is my upgraded version of his list. I haven't really thought about it. This is just me extending it to 2,000 points. This is still his list. So I've threw this together just as a curiosity, because I'm kind of tempted to play it. And I will work out if I would want to tweak it. The problem is, I had some 3D printed Sky Cutters. I was super underwhelmed by them. They looked very clunky, and they were very fragile as well, which was maybe slightly to do with the resin that they were printed in and, all that. But to be clear, not from the sponsor, Beowulf Miniatures. Oh, speaking of as well, I was too blown away by the very generous support that I got earlier, so thank you again. But if you're interested in coaching, I am running a 15% discount for your first month, so check that out at patreon.com/close order. There we go. Yes, I'd have to buy 5 of the Lothan Sky Cotton bundles, and they are expensive, but they're really nice. So it's probably not on the list for now, but I do like them. They're cool. Whole lot of L's going on here, can't approve. Hey, Dave, good to see you. Good to see you. This list looks like it loves a bit of Linehammer. Oh, absolutely. You know what it'd love even more? 60 Dwarf Rangers in Skirmish. Charge one end with 1 Sky Cutter. Watch them all disappear. But, yeah, this looks like a fun Warhammer list. Used to be... Ooh, yeah. No, good shout, Dan. Good shout on changing that one. No, it's a shame when numbers and symbols do get co-opted by the nonces. I said what I said. Okay. I need to lock it a little bit because we've done a lot of talking today, which has been great. But also, I do want to get through the 10 lists that we have got here for for the evening. All right, what do we got up to next? Ian Marley submitted a list. Ian Marley submitted a list with no context, and I kind of love that. That's just a raw. Rip it and ship it. This is my list. Tell me what you think. You're welcome, Zephyrus. So, what do we got? What have we got? Pegasus Knights, Men at Arms.
Is there a good reason to play Renegade Crowns over Empire of Man? If it's the same models.
Thank you, Matthew. Only because you really like them. That's kind of what it boils down to. I think there are things that Renegade Crowns does better than Empire, but none of those things are massively valuable in the meta in the way that the game is played, which is a real shame because I think it's super cool to play around with them. But the things that are good about them is you can make their infantry great, you can run the reserve move units with pistols, and you can run really good wizards. And you can kind of do most of those things as Empire anyway, but with Empire you then just get to take other things around them that are better. Renegade's a hip in Nottingham. That is true. A hip, hop, a hippity. You like a chance. You like having a chance to win. Empire is more up your street then, I think. But you could occasionally bust out the Renegade Crowns if you ever want to do something like that. Anytime I see Renegade Crowns played, people seem to forego the big bricks that are like the most obvious thing to do with them, and lean more into like the Cavalry Death Star with Totem of Wrath and Cackling Blade, because you need some direct power, which it does that. It does do that. All right, Ian's list, Errantry Crusade. Let's have a look. There's a Duke, Royal Peg, Ogre Blade, Syrian Locket, Virtue of Knightly Temper. Great. That's just a perfect build. No notes. I think Bretonnians are a really interesting one because they've changed, or they on the face of it, a lot has changed about them. Prophetess, Law Familiar, Sacrament of the Lady, Ruby Ring Ruin, Elementalism. Ooh, that's interesting. What am I searching for? Sacrament is the power scroll, but better, isn't it? Yeah, perfect. Then we've got Law Familiar and we've got Ruby Ring of Ruin. That's interesting. What does this Warhorse want to be doing? It feels like it goes with the Knights Errant. Is it on a horse? It is on a horse. Surely it goes with one of the units of the Errant? I feel confused about what the prophetess is wanting to achieve. Like, I feel like it's here to cast like Plague of Rust and then also Magic Missile. But I feel like if you're doing that, you don't necessarily want to run it with the Knights Errant. You want to run it with maybe the Mounted Yeomen. Are they in rare? But then you're taking points away and you're not in core. So maybe Ian's just running them the prophetess maybe like solo, or maybe with the errants, or just using the errants to screen and being solo. Interesting. I don't hate the build though. I think it adds a good amount of ranged pressure, and also elementalism is such a good lore in that there's always something good in there. If you need to get out of town, you know, you've got these Knights of the Realm of Foot. Maybe you are worried they're going to get charged. Earthen Ramparts and TMP, really good. If you're playing into armies with, 3-up save across the board, Plague of Rust is really good, yada yada. I'm assuming that this is going to be sitting towards the back. At which point, maybe the Ruby Ring of Ruin isn't actually good, but I'm not sure about that one. Diadem of Power, I actually don't remember what that does. +1 to Magical Vortex, Magic Missile, Assailment. For 35 points. Hammerhand from the back. Ooh, that's pricey. I don't know about that. I don't think I feel that's worth the points, because you're just hammerhanding, right? Or you're hoping to roll Fireball and get the +1 to cast. Cat is running Double Bone Grinder Renegades and LD3. That's cool. That's really cool. I assume it's not... I assume it's more like, I don't think this is meta-defining, but I think it's fun. But also LD3 is German comp, right? And I think that is pretty significantly different to the meta that we typically see. Here in the UK, at least. Yeah, I don't think the Diadem of Power is worth it. I think we can drop that for what it is. Although, being in the back of the unit's good. Like, honestly, as much as it's fun to hammerhand from the back of the unit, I think this unit is just better if you go Illusion. And you just go Glittering Robes and you sit in the back of the unit because you can shield the lady and you still get to use your spells and etc. So I think that's more useful just to keep them alive. And the hammerhand, assuming it goes off, does an average of like, what? 1 to 2 wounds, which is cool, but it's not, I think, going to meaningfully swing things into the targets you need it to. This unit, I'd like to see... No, it's got everything it needs. Crusader's Vow is good. Oh, have you got the Paladin? This is on foot. Falconhorn, Virtue of Duty. Virtue of Duty? Where am I that? You can't join a unit with this. I think Ian's missed that you can't join a friendly unit with this, because he's got a foot paladin here. I'm assuming that this is meant to join the Knights of the Realm. That would make sense. Okay, so here's what we're doing. We're going to give them the BSB, and we're going to give them... Ooh, what's worth going for? Entry Banner's fun. But I don't know that there's anything actually in here that's super worthwhile. Frenzy's funny. I don't think it's needed. Yeah, I don't think there's any banners that are super worthwhile. But adding combat reds is good, so maybe it's just War Banner. And then you've got Great Weapon, Shield, and the Falconhorn's just generally good, but let's go Virtue of the Impetuous Knight to increase the charge range. Now, the reason I'm saying this is this Paladin's obviously going with the Knights of the Realm on foot. They've got base movement 4, but because they've got the Crusader's Vow, well, it's not the Crusader's Vow, it's the other thing that comes with Crusader's Vow, which I don't think I can get to here. Maybe I can. Crusader's Zeal gives you +1 to your charge range. Obviously impetuous as well, but you've got veteran, so kind of whatever. Anyway, so you go from a charge range of 10 inches to 11 inches. And then with the Virtue of the Impetuous Knight, you go to a charge range of 14 inches. And that's kind of not bad. And given that you've got Furious Charge and Great Weapons, you kind of want to be getting the charge if you can. So this I think, adds to it. Although we could go down to 18 if we're putting the Damsel in there as well. Like that. And then we're 7 points missing and we're 6 points under. So there's been a mistake. This is a bizarre unit. I do not see the value of the men-at-arms. I'm assuming that this isn't in a format where there's infantry scoring outside of core. If I'm wrong, it's fine. but I don't think I am, on the basis of he didn't give any context. One of my favourite things is when people use Nick Boucher's fanatics to prevent them from giving ground. Thank you. Was one of my favourite moments. It's classic. Yeah, so this unit here, Banner of Shalons. Shalons is fine, but I think you just want Totem of Wrath generally. Like, you want to go in, and if you're taking this unit, you want to kill as much stuff as possible. So, paired with the Duke, you've got one unit that flies around. It's very, very solid. And then, let's go back to the list here. We need 7 more points in core, and we've got a lot of points as well. What else would I add in? Like, what are we missing? You could go for another unit of Peg Knights and just skim some points somewhere, but I don't think that's really super relevant. In rare, like, maybe... I mean, everyone likes Grail Knights. Honestly, I'm not unimpressed by 3 Grail Knights just running around as their own punchy little unit. I think in terms of what we're bringing, I think that's more valuable. It's, you know, it's a small footprint. It's a very mobile little unit. It's got counter charge. It's got first charge. They've got 7 attacks with Lancers at strength 6 on the charge. They're very good weapon skill. They've got the inbuilt ward save. I think this is genuinely an interesting little unit to build around. I don't think it's like... I don't think we'll see it at WTC, but I think if you're taking Bretonnians to a local event, you can run this and feel very good about it, and I think it gives you some tricks that you can pull with it, which is cool. And then we do need to bulk up the unit. We'll go back up to 19. It doesn't actually matter. Oh, I guess he was maybe 7x3 for 21 models. And then we just need to bulk them up a little bit, so we'll go up to 12 in the Squires. And then there's 5 points... Fire and Fleet. Okay. We'll go up to 11, and we'll give both the musicians, because if you're fleeing, you want to rally, and with Leadership 7, that is not the most consistently going to happen. But there we go. There's a fun take on Errantry Crusade. I think that's a good one. I just like the brick of Foot Knights. It's something I'd like to put on the table more. But I've played mostly Exiles, so it's hard to do. Hard to do. All right. Cool. Where are we up to? Let's go with Ross's Warriors of Chaos. I just need to find the context here. Ross says, aiming to run a dragon and a Huskarl bus at 2,200 points. Undecided whether to go for the Fighty Lord or switch him to a Sorcerer Lord. A bigger unit of Skin Wolves is because all infantry score at this event. Very cool. So they'll be able to claim SL? Strategic locations, as long as there are 4+ of them. How do I feel about them scoring? I mean, it's not worse than them scoring. I don't know if it's a unit that I massively care about being able to score, because they're not that tanky against shooting. And they kind of want to be aggressive. You've gone for 5, though. All right, sure. I see the value. Okay, so this is single dragon. Yeah, single dragon here. Exalted Champion, double character. Berserkers, Horsemen, Huskarls, Skinwolves. Okay, this makes a lot of sense at first blush. So we've got the Exalted Champion with Cackling Blade. Always a big fan of the lower attack characters getting the Cackling Blade. Sounds obvious, but a lot of people don't do it. They'll put it on their better character. Diabolic Splendor, -1 to hit, and then Enchanting Aura on this one. Yeah, okay, so this is a really solid bus. I would quite like to see a Wizard, but I don't know that I want to see a Wizard more than I want to see an Exalted Champion. How many points is it for an Exalted... for a Sorcerer Lord? Oh, it's not one... Yes, of course. In my head, you could run the Sorcerer Lord instead of an Exalted Champion, but I forgot they're capped with Chaos Lords. Alright, never mind. I was going to say how many points is it for a Sorcerer Lord with Cackling Blade, Lore Familiar, Demonology, and a Favor of the Gods. Like, that feels like a pretty solid character that buffs up the Huskarls and is still a decent melee threat in its own right, but that's not for this list. That's something to play around for me later. Alright. Chaos Lord, Undivided, Favor of the Gods, Ogre Blades, Enchanting Aura. Yeah. So this is just as bare bones as possible to fit everything in. The Exalted Champion is Mark of Tzeentch for MR1, Chaos Dragon, Everlasting Conquest, Meteor Archine. Ooh, no favors. If there's anywhere that I'd want favors, I definitely want it on the God, on the Dragon more than I'd want it on some of the other stuff. So, like, if we have to drop it somewhere, we maybe drop it on the Exalted Champion. Like, I know the Exalted Champion's good, but it's already getting a lot of value. All of them want Favor of the Gods. All of them want Favor of the Gods. Maybe we drop the Mark of Tzeentch, honestly. Like, MR1's nice, but I think the Favor is more important. And you can't... You've got to have it. I just don't think you can drop it. And in fact, I kind of want two. One of these characters is going to get a second one. Who's the most valuable with the second one? I think it's the Chaos Lord. I know they're already very, very good. But being able to just roll with impunity means that you might be able to just go toe-to-toe with dragons. Especially with Monster Hunter Tapestry. Oh, you haven't got it. You've gone Totem of Wrath. Okay. In that case, let's put it on the dragon. I think it's more valuable to have it on the dragon there. Like so. Fantastic. Yeah, that makes more sense to me. The core looks great. I love the core. You've gone the +1 toughness. You've got the flail. They have ambush built in. Oh, they don't have ambush built in. Oh, no. We're paying for ambush. We're paying for ambush out here. And then paying for ambush. They're not capped, are they? I'm pretty sure they're not, but now I need to double check because it doesn't. I love army builders, but you can't write a list just from army builders. If you do so, then you will be sad because you will miss things. You also can't use tau.whfb because this doesn't tell you what you want to know. Good job, me. There we go. This is what I'm looking for. Berserkers. Any unit can have ambushes. Perfect. I thought it was the case, but I did want to double check. So all of them have ambush, and you maybe don't even use it, but it's worth the points because you can lower your number of drops. Fan-dabby-dozy. How many points do we have to drop? 16. I mean... Drop 1 Huskell. Brazen Collar, Totem of Wrath. Flails, light armor, shields, drilled. Natural fortitude. Yep. Looks good. I mean, the list was almost perfect already. I have a couple of like tweaks that I think are better, but it really isn't much change. You've kind of just nailed it already, which makes sense. Flails are cav spears. I'm coming around to flails because it gives them more punch. I know they lose the save, but they should, if they're charging something, they want to be winning the fight anyway, basically. So I think I lean towards the flails there. And then that's the list. You pretty much got it right. I like what you've done. I hadn't ever thought about the Sorcerer Lord with Cackling Blade and Lore Familiar and Demonology, but now I have, and I think there's something there, and I want to play around with it. So that is something that I will be doing in my own time. The Tzeentch wasn't giving ML1 anyway with the bracelet on the unit. Probably don't need the Skin Wolf Champion. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. It feels meta-dependent. Sometimes having something to challenge is nice, and sometimes it isn't. This is a unit that can avoid dragons, so I think it's probably okay, because you probably I assume you're putting them in skirmish. You still have 360 line of sight, even though you block your own line of sight from your own models. So, I'm not super worried about you getting, a dragon challenging you. Because you don't have to charge them. You can charge who you want. And you can go in and you can soak a challenge next to the dragon, which is valuable because the Skin Wolves do have Swift Stride. So this is one of the rare cases where I think that maybe you go for the unit champion on the Monstrous Infantry, even though I'm not generally a big fan. All right. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. What do we got next? Good list, though. I like it. Very, very linear. Like, you could maybe drop ambush on one of the units, because you're always starting one of the units on the board. And then you've only got 1, 2, 3, 4 drops minimum. But this way, you've got 3 drops minimum, if it's very important that you go first. Took a champ on the Mournfang Cav once, never again. Yeah, if you don't have 360, ability to skirmish around, then it's definitely a downside on multi-win models. Okie dokie. Of course, if you put characters in there, then it changes, because then you want to be able to soak. Jordan's list, 2,000 points of Empire. Let me find that one. Bit of an attempt at a more diverse Empire army that isn't utilizing cannons or gun lines. Interesting. all the characters are interesting. The General of the Empire is probably the most cookie cutter. Its weaknesses is clearly scoring capability, cool, but there's both the Grandmaster and the Wizard Lord to destroy opponents with scoring pieces quickly to level the playing field. May have some teeth. Thoughts? That's an interesting thought. Okay. Okie dokie. So, you've got a Griffin, Healing Potion, White Cloak, Full Plate, Great Weapon. Okay. Okay. So there's a punchy-ish general on a Griffin. I don't hate that. I like the Griffin character. They're not nowhere near as good as a dragon, but they're also a lot cheaper. Wizard Lord, Pegasus, Wizard Staff, Wizard Familiar, Tome of Midnight, Demonology. There's an interesting overlap of items here. So Wizard's Familiar gives you +1 to Dispel. This is just good to have in general. Wizard's Staff gives you +1 to casting magic missiles. Assailments as well, but it's specifically magic missiles here. Tome of Midnight gives you +1 to cast. And also, it gives you +1 to cast for Demonology, and you also know +1 spell known. These are separate, so you can just use it as a very expensive spell familiar if you don't want to run any of those laws, but you do become a loner, so you can't go in units anyway. So I think that's interesting. I do think that's interesting. I would maybe, instead of Tome of Midnight, I know +1 to cast is cool, but you go in Demonology, right? Yeah. So you're getting +4 to cast on the summoning, which is it's a good magic missile, but you're casting it once. I don't value that super highly. What if we drop Tome of Midnight and we go for Twin-Tailed Wand, which has risk. If you miscast, too bad, so sad. You're going to take some damage, but you get to cast the summoning twice. You're only casting it +3. But I think the output of casting the summoning twice at +3 far and away dwarves into like everything, even MR2, far and away dwarfs your ability to do damage with casting it once. Okay, and then you probably want Ruby Ring of Ruin in here as well. Probably. Monster Tapestry. Yeah, this looks solid. This is just the foot character that's going in with the state troops, with the Witch Hunter's Ward, Griffin Standard, and Weapon Shields. Yeah, this is great. This is like exactly what you want to see from the state troops. 31. How many characters are you putting in there? There's the captain. I think it's just the one captain. Then you've got the Grandmaster with the Wolf Hammer, Full Plate, Shield, Order of the White Wolf, Demigryph, Laurels of Victory, Talisman of Protection. So this can either join the Knights of the White Wolf or the Demigryph, or it can be solo. All of those are pretty good options. So it's got a ward save. Laurels of Victory is good. Furious Charge with this, so you're getting 5 attacks at strength 6, AP 2. Weapon skill... Oh, no, it's only strength... Yeah, it is strength 6, because it's +2 strength on the charge. Weapon skill 6. That's not bad. That's like as good as it's getting. Laurels of Victory gives you double your combat res, which is very interesting, I think. And then you've gone for Talisman of Protection. How many points you got? I think you want something else on this. And I don't know what it is. There are multiple options here. If I'm going for this character, I think that the thing that speaks to me the most is... Oh, is it an enchanted item? Or is it a talisman? I can have Fortitude. It's a talisman. And it's also too many points. Okay, that doesn't work then. Bugger. You have to give up the ward save to get the immune to multiple wounds. I'm just thinking if you're running around solo more than anything else. Don't really care about being immune to killing blow. It's multiple wounds that you really want to avoid. Alright, I think this is fine. I think you should have twice blessed armor somewhere in your list. I think it's a miss not to have it on one of the combat characters. I'm thinking probably the General of the Empire. Doesn't pay the 6 points for the full plate. And then adds in the twice blessed armor for the hammer hand, because it's hammer hand at power level 2, which is just better than like Ring of Fury or anything that I regularly rag on. And it's, instead of being 25 points, it's 19 points because you're paying 6 points for the full plate basically as well. So I really like this just as an item in general. I think it's very solid there. What else? This is good. This is good. And then you've got the state troops. You've got the Knights of the White Wolf. 8 of them. Yeah, they're going to just do what they do. You haven't got a... Is there anything we want to go for 25 points, I guess, is the question. I wouldn't be upset at giving them the Icon of More, giving you fear. It's basically to make you immune to fear when you're charging things. Because this unit is really, really good at cracking through infantry. But a lot of the infantry in the meta right now is undead, which has fear. And if you fail the fear test, too bad, so sad. It sucks to be you, basically. Also, you've given them great weapons. I think you want the wolf hammers here. I'm assuming that that's just you forgot to click it. But wolf hammers are obviously very, very good, whereas great weapons are fine. You basically the reason. Okay, so great weapons, we know what it all does. Strength +2 all the time, AP -2, armor bane 1, strikes last. Wolf hammers on the charge, strength +2, AP -2, no armor bane. But then in subsequent rounds of combat, you can still have +1 strength, even if you didn't follow up or charge. But you're striking initiative, which means that when you charge things, you'll be initiative 7. Whereas if you're initiative 4, there are lots of things that you just don't get to charge because they'll hit you back first, which is a little scary. Banner of Duty, what the hell is that? Reroll rally test. Did I click that? I feel like I clicked that. I think I meant to click this and I clicked Icon of Banner of Duty. Yeah, okay. I think Icon of More makes a lot of sense to them, just because I probably want them to charge into enemy terror causes or fear causes, and then the Demigryph Knights. I like Demigryph Knights in theory. I just think they don't, in practice, work. Because I see this unit and I go, cool, let me just park a dragon in front of you, and he is 400 points when I kill the standard. Like, I kill the unit in combat, and because the standard as well, I'm getting a lot of value out of it. Which sucks. That really sucks. I do not like that at all. But, if you're playing and understanding that you're going to struggle into some of the things in the meta, I think there is value here. I feel like if you're running this, you maybe want to pair it with an illusion caster. Because if you have the illusion caster, you can stop the enemy dragon from charging you, and it gives you time to get out of there. So maybe that's the solution for this. And then obviously there's Road Wardens. Road Wardens are just good. This is a good setup. Captain, repeater pistol. I'd like a musician on there. In fact, we'll put it on. And ambushes. I'd like Feigned Flight as well, because they're a leadership 7. And this is a unit that's very valuable in terms of, in my mind, standing in front of stuff to bait them, shooting, and then firing and fleeing. Feigned Flight's really nice there. It means that you never die to being caught, although if you get caught, you probably still die anyway. But also, you don't have to rally on a 7. Or an 8 in this case, because we give them musician. So, yeah. Like so. And if we've done that, we have to shave some points. And I think the obvious place to shave the points, like 4 Demigryph Knights is obviously as wide as you want to go, but we're probably putting the character in them, I would assume. So maybe we go down to 3, and that frees up the points, and then we can drop like 1 state troop or something like that. So that would probably be how I would tweak this list. I think it's still going to struggle. Like, I don't know what the game plan is to kill the big stuff, because nothing in here does kill the big stuff other than combat res. But the dragon shouldn't be charging the front of this unit of veteran state troops and expecting to win. So I think it's a hard one to play into multiple monsters, but I think that's also just kind of how it is if we're talking about, Empire in general. Run 6 cannons and some flagellants, I guess, is the solution. Okie dokie. What else have we got on here? Ian's list we've already looked at. Let me just move that one up. Okay. We've got a couple of people in here. Let's have a look at some Renegade Ogres. Paul's Renegade Ogres. Let's have a look at these. Just need to find it in Discord. Paul says, "Hi Ed, what do you think of this list? I'm thinking of taking it to a square-based comp event. I'm breaking my rule of only using 19 gobblers instead of 120. The Gorges can ambush. I'm thinking of these as backline/baggage train threats. The rest of the army is pure send." I thought he was going to say sand. I misread that for a second. You have all units available in Ogres. So if you think I should go for something else for another unit, I'll go for that. All right, let's have a look. What are we working with, Paul? What are we looking at here? So we've got a Tyrant on foot with the Tenderizer, Slaughtermaster with Battle Magic Lore Familiar, Bruiser, Cannibal Totem. Okay, so it's an Iron Gut Death Star with Mournfang Cavalry, Gorges, Bone Grunter Giant. All right, cool. I mean, I think the base premise Ogre, my lord. We'll do your list next, Vesper. You're in this week. I think the base concept, it works, right? You just like, hey, I've got the Iron Gut Star, and then I'm also running this unit, which is better, and the Bone Grinders that are better. Like, I don't want to say Bone Grinder's better, but like, you've got enough that if they're killing the T7 Bone Grinder with 8 wounds, ooh, I clicked a Bone Grinder and it broke my old world builder. I don't want to say that, yeah, I don't want to say that the Bone Grinder's cursed. Okay, we're not. You know what, Paul? You get to keep the Bone Grinder because every time I click it, it breaks. I think objectively losing the Bone Grinder would be better for like 300 points of anything, but in this case, you win. I can't click it. Broke the bones of the old world builder. Very good, Corathan. I was right about Bone Grinders all along. They truly are evil. So I think what you've set up here is very good. Talisman of Protection, Tenderizer on a Tyrant is very classic. Oh. Okay. Maybe I just can't click anything in Paul's list. For some reason, it is corrupted. So we're just going to talk about it. We'll talk about it, and then I'll link him the timestamp at like 1:45-ish. Okay, so the Tyrant is good. The Slaughtermaster is good. The Bruiser is good as well. Meteoric Iron, Talisman of Protection, Cannibal Totem. So, you're getting the 5-up ward save from the Battle Magic here. You're getting the 2 MR2 from here. You're getting a 5-up regen from here as well. And then you've got the incredibly slappy Tenderizer character as well. So you've gone as heavy into the unit as you possibly can. It's very good. Full command, Monster Hunter Tapestry. This just wins fights into dragons. 2 dragons can go into this. And I actually don't know if you win the fight with double dragons. Because one gets soaked in the challenge, and then one has to contend with so many other attacks. Bone Grinder should be immune to Monster Slayer and multiple wounds. Bone Grinder should be... I should be immune to Bone Grinder. That's what should happen. Triple Noblars. The more Noblars, the better. The Mournfang Cavalry, good. This is assuming it's using the square-based... the Renegades 2.0. Mournfang, I believe, go to a better armor save. It's been a while since I've looked at this. Obviously, I've been thinking about the new FAQ rules as opposed to Renegade rules. But I think these got tankier. But just generally, they're pretty punchy. The Gorgeous are good. The Bone Grinders. Yeah, I just dropped the Bone Grinder. Like, I think the classic... we've seen the classic version of the list where it's like, it's this list, but it's got 1 less Mournfang Cav, no Bone Grinder, and then 2, I always forget the name of it. Oh, well, I can't click anything. The 2 of the cannons, the Iron Blasters. Yeah, 2 Iron Blasters. So we'll just have to ping Paul, because at Paul, your list broke my old world builder. So discussion. 1 hour 45 means ish. There we go. If the Bone Grinder costs 50 points, I still wouldn't take it out of principle. I would. 50 points for that would be incredible. Is that double Talisman of Protection? I don't think it was. I'm cautious to click back in, but Talisman of Protection. Oh, it is. Good catch. Good catch. Yeah, so just change one of those out to the... oh, you can't. I was going to say change one out to the Spangle Shard, but you can't because it's too many points. All right, Paul, you cheat. Maybe that's why it's broken, because he's got double Talisman Protection. That's not why it's broken. I have no idea what's going on there. Mournfang's still a 4-up save, unfortunately. Yeah, that's a shame. That is a shame. Yeah, does need to change something up there, then. But I can't do it for him, unfortunately. Sorry to say, Paul. Your list has broken things. All right, Vesper's list. Let's have a look here. It's High Elves. Vesper says, I've been playing this and having a lot of fun. Wrong. You're not allowed to have fun playing High Elves. Disgusting. Archmages still rule. I've wondered, though, about switching one of the Archmages into Illusion and playing around with that instead. Thoughts? Cav for Disruption, first charge, also for when the TMP opens up charge angles into advancing units, and so on. The Phoenix is a self-contained piece meant to go around doing much the same as the Cav, but lasting longer. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe there are better options. The whole rationale is to buy the Sisters time to shoot, maneuver, and to keep points safe. Cool. All right. So it's a sister star list with Dragon Princes, Frostart Phoenix, Reavers. All right, cool. Yeah, this makes sense. I mean, my suggestion instead of the Phoenix was just going to be Dragon Princes. So I wonder if the suggestion is just you go 2 units of Dragon Princes, and that does more than going Frostheart Phoenix, because this is the only thing in your list that is vulnerable to cannon fire, which is something that, or like just war machines in general, which is something that's worth considering. Because if you can make it so that the best they can do is kill like 1 or 2 Dragon Princes, that's not anywhere near as much value as doing 2/3 of the wounds of a Frostheart Phoenix with no saves. Okie dokie. Handmaiden, Sword of Sorrow, Opal Amulet. Sure. Horn of Isha, sure. Archmage with Lore Familiar, Triple Power Scroll, Warden of Safari, High Magic. Warden of Safari. For the sword? Sure. With High Magic. Okay. So with High Magic, you're playing around with Walk Between Worlds. I guess you're going with Fury of Cain. And then it could be Corporeal Making. It could be Tempest. It could be Fiery Convocation. Interesting. There's different things there. Fighty Wizards Roar. Yeah. I love Fighty Wizards. That's one of the things that really like draws me to Swordmasters. Speaking of, I teased it a while ago. One of the because obviously I talked about doing more videos through the month of August. One of the videos I have planned is something, although it might come before August, I'm not sure. I put a video up called Meta Monday this Monday just gone. But I'm also thinking about doing Mediocre Mondays, where I take a bad unit and try and make it as playable as possible. So the first one of those would be Swordmasters, assuming that is something I go with. Anyway, then we got Archmage, Silvery Wand, Triple Power Scroll, Lore Master's Cloak, Warden of Safari, Elementalism. Sure. Okay. Interesting. Elementalism for TMP. Earthen Ramparts, Wind Blast. Sure. Okay. I don't hate it. Level 1. Another one. Ring of Fury, Warden of Safari, Battle Magic. Level 1, Warden of Safari, Illusion. The mages don't have Strike First. I think you can do better. I don't think Double Hammer Hand is the answer. I think if you want attacks... Oh, you can't go Nobles because of the leadership issue. Bugger. Because you can only take the Horn of Isha if it's the General, I think. It's been a hot minute since I've looked at the Sister Star list. Let's just pull up the Force of Fantasy here. Forces of Fantasy. Handmaiden. No, you can just have it. Is there a... What's the reason that nobody runs Nobles in Sister Stars? Is it just because it was the Battle Standard Bearer? It couldn't be? Is that the reason for it?
You thought it was over.
God damn it. It was over. Stop. Thank you, bud. Fuck's sake. Yeah. You have no idea where it has an Elven Seed. No worries. I think neither of these... Get out of here. And we go double noble. And one of them gets a BSB. And that adds some consistency. I think the reason that you didn't do it before was because the... You were only taking one noble. Citizen Core, bollocks. There it is. There is something. Yep. Good spot. Thank you both. I knew I was missing something. Gosh darn it. All right. Okay. How many Handmaidens can you have? Are they 0 to 1 per 1,000 points, or is it just one of them? Because if we're taking... Because they have strikes first. So, like, I'm actually way more interested in running them. Are they capped? 0 to 1 per 1,000 points. Okay, so, like, a second one of those, I think, is better than a mage. Because you have... Where are they at?
Oh, we're still doing this. Sisters is such anemic damage.
Fuck's sake. I want to go to bed. Thank you, Amy. Appreciate. Appreciate. Stormweaver is leadership 9 as well, so we can't do that. Handmaiden. We'll go for another Handmaiden, because they've got strikes first. They've got the Handmaiden spear. So if you're trying to add some melee pressure, this is, like, aggressively fine. And what do we give them? That's the question. Like, honestly, Arch Lightning Rod, I think, is very good here. I know you can't re-roll it, which sucks. But this is an army that really values being able to slow down enemy dragons. That's very, very good, being able to slow down enemy dragons. And then you could put another mage in, but I don't like. Do you need to? The only thing sisters want to fight are my trolls. Yeah, yeah. I'm permanently not impressed by sisters personally. So let's get rid of this, and let's go a second unit of dragon princes. We'll go for 6 of them. With I don't think you actually need. No, let's give them. What are we worried about? What worries us here? Like, honestly, move through cover is not bad, although they do have half of move through cover already, so paying 20 points for that is kind of rough. No rerolls on that unit, but we don't care about that. Like, it might just be Rampaging Banner or Swirling Wind. That's not a bad shout. Have you got a musician on here? I think you can skip the musician. Like, you don't have to, but you're drilled, so it's less important. Also, I'm, like, really underwhelmed by this unit. But I think in this regard, having the ability to move around, because the sisters are going to TMP, the dragon princes are going to drilled march, the reavers can move as well. Like, not having anything that's tied down easily. Oh! Skycutters. Skycutters would be good. But I guess you want to go low on the drops. So I'd be replacing the dragon princes with 2 drops, which I don't love. I do not love that. That is a problem. But they are very good. How many drops we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Monster Hunter type monsters. Yeah. Because I actually don't hate Monster Hunter Tapestry. As you say, tying up monsters isn't bad. And it gives you a second turn. Because they do have that 2-up save and a 6-up ward. But I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough. I think it's probably just you go Swirling Wind, and then that gives you a unit that you can push out more aggressively to deal with enemy shooting units. You've got one that's just like got punch, and then the other one is just there for, you know, trying to deal with things that shoot. And you're less sad when you charge into the front of like the dwarf, Thunderous Star, or, you know, if anyone's running Drake guns or whatever, because you've got an additional -1 to be shot. It is all the time, isn't it? Yeah, it's all the time. Don't mind the 1 extra drop. It's already penalized. Yeah, okay. In that case, if you don't mind the extra drop, we go Skycutter. I think the Skycutter is incredible, and I think it really plays into this sort of mobile list style. I don't think you need the Eagle Eye Bolt Thrower. I think you want to use this more as like a mobile charge piece. But yeah, I like what you've gone for with the characters. It makes a lot of sense. I guess this character could go... Oh, you've got Bow the Seafarer there. Ruby Ring of Ruin actually would go pretty well. Is there anyone... You'll have to drop a lot to get the Ruby Ring of Ruin in here, which I do not appreciate. And I don't want to put it on a unit champion here, that's for sure. Let's just drop the standard. Like, that's... Like, let's just go this second unit. 6 models. Do we need a champion? We don't need a champion. We don't get a no, we want to be able to challenge if needs be, because we can tie them up. Yeah. Yeah, I think this does the same thing. But it just gives you... Like 6 Dragon Princes plus the Skycutter, I think is better. Oh, and then the Handmaiden. I think that is better than the double mage you were running, that I don't think was adding very much because they didn't have strikes first. So realistically, if you got charged, they were either dying or just not getting to attack in a meaningful way. And also, it was like really bulky out how large the front rank is when you get charged. And then you've also got another mobile unit. And I think this unit having Totem of Wrath means you've got an actual melee combat unit that punches really hard. I think Totem of Wrath really sort of overwrites a lot of the issues that you see with Dragon Princes. The fact they're only Strength 5, and they're only AP2. This gives them a lot more punch. The T3 still sucks, but the 2-up save goes a decent way to overruling that. Yeah. I think this is solid. And it's still, an extra ballistic skill 7 shot with the Bow of the Avalon and the Arrows of Isha, which is not bad. It's strength 4 instead of strength 3. We don't hate that. Yeah, this looks good. I like this. I need to play around with the Sister Star list because I like the mobile shooting list. It plays into things that I find fun. But I feel like this, and one of the issues that I had with X-Force is it didn't feel like there was enough damage output. Like, you've got the mobility, but just not the output, which is probably, like, good for the game in terms of, like, do I think it's necessarily healthy if everyone's playing that as a list? Probably not. But I'd like it to do a little bit more. That's my feel on that. Oh, you know what you could do instead? Instead of the Sky Cutter, you could go for a unit of ambushing... Oh, you could go for a second unit of Sisters. You could go for a second unit of Sisters, and you could give them ambush. Like, that's not bad, because it keeps your drops low, and it adds a little bit more shooting, and they can come in from a different board edge if you're playing against someone mobile. Yeah, I like that more, actually, than the Sky Cutter. I think the Sky Cutter is cool, but I think something like 6 Sisters with the Ruby Ring of Ruin, and then you've got to find 40 points, which I don't really want to drop anything... Oh, you can't drop in core anyway. It's like maybe you go smaller on the princes. Maybe the second unit's only like 5 models instead of 6. Yeah, I think there's scope to play around. Like, and you could drop the musician on this, Dragon Princes, yada yada. I think War Between Worlds in the Archmage is still pretty good, especially with the scrolls. It's extremely difficult for us to deal with. I do agree, but I find that yeah, I think War Between Worlds is important.
Combining
for
the
reserve moves.
Taskmaster's Scourge and Battle Hunger on Chaos Warriors and Rampaging Banner. Is there any way to give them +1M?
Thanks, Cthulhu. Is there any way to give them +1 movement? Demonology. Like, I feel if you're doing the melee brick of warriors, you want Demonology Warrior. Sorry, Demonology Wizard in there anyway. Because Steed of Shadows, even though you're trying to stack movement bonuses on them anyway, Steed of Shadows is still really good because it lets you get to where you want to be, and you can't use it when you charge. And then Demonic Vessel is obviously really good there, but then you also get Demonic Vigor, which gives you +1 movement, toughness, and initiative for your turn. So that would probably be the way to do it, I think. You're then still taking the Demonology Wizard, at which point I'm like, I don't know if you need Battle Hunger, and maybe you prefer to go for the Enchanting Aura and the initiative bonus if you're using hand weapon shields, of which the name of which I've forgotten. But yeah, what is it called? Enhanced Reflexes. There we go. Yeah, but I think it works. Speaking of, let's have a look at Cheese 90's list. So this is the final one of the evening. This is Wolves of the Sea. And Cheese 90 says, trying out a demonic spam list. Demonic mount spam list. That's a lot of... Oh, wow, that's a lot of mounts. Okay. So triple skin wolves. And then we've got 1 unit of Marauder Horsemen, 2 units of Marauder Horse. Okay, 4 units of Horsemen. And then 2 units of regular Marauders. Regular Marauders is interesting. How many points are the Berserkers with Unnatural Fortitude for 12 of them? And flails, they are 132. They are very comparable. Very comparable. And they also have open order and skirmish. For 146 points. 2 points more. Oh, ambush as well. Okay, so they are a little bit more. Could drop the musician, though. Sorry. Yes, try to keep it fresh in terms of, because I believe I looked at one of your lists last week, if I remember correctly. Because obviously channel members do get priority, but then to keep it fresh, I do make sure to look at people whose lists weren't seen the week before. If I am remembering your username correctly in Discord there. And then I think Corathan's list was maybe just too far down. Unfortunately, it's something along those lines. Yes, it was quite far down. Anyway, back to the list. So I think the Berserkers do a better job, and they're T5 instead of T4. So I think that's probably the direction that I'd go here. We'll have to like tweak around with points to make it work, but I think just for the sake of it, getting a lot more value that way there. And then we've got the horsemen definitely all want to have a natural fortitude. So we'll go duplicate there. And then this unit here doesn't have horsitude, so we can get rid of that. T4 is a hell of a drug. And then skin wolves, and then the other stuff here as well. So, chieftain with great weapon, light armor, horse. Just a very cheap, punchy character. That makes sense to me, honestly. And you got 2 of them. Is this exactly the same? Okay, 2 of them there. Makes sense. What's the opposite of supremacy? Inferiority. What's that in regards to? Chaos Lord with lance, full plate, undivided, demonic mount, icon of fortitude, dazzling helm, demon flesh. Okay, this is fine. Demon flesh is +1 toughness, right? Oh, can't be wounded on 2s. I don't think that's super worthwhile. Especially because you've got the icon of fortitude on here, so you're immune to the multiple wounds of the cannons anyway, so you don't really care. And you're -1 to be hit, and your weapon skill 7. So I think you're absolutely fine without spending 45 points for +1 toughness. There is... I don't think there's really anything else that I would look at as super important. I'm not opposed to Enchanting Aura or Diabolic Splendor, but I don't think that really plays into what this unit wants to do. But also I'd say Great Weapon over Lance, because you're probably going to be in grindy combats with this character. Then we've got, yeah, just make sure that you're going Great Weapons on all of these, in my opinion. I know, obviously, there's initiative issues, but these characters are likely going to be in multiple rounds of combat, so you will lose the benefit of the Lance there. And you should be tanky enough to not worry about that too much. But other than that, I think I like what you're going for. I don't know that the units... Like, it's a very sort of MSU pressure list, which I think is interesting. I think this will struggle to deal with the bigger units. So I wonder if you'd be maybe better off with one of these aspiring champions being a wizard with Lore Familiar Demonic Vessel, for Steely Shadows, not Steely Shadows, just Demonic Vessel on a horse, so you can join the same unit of horsemen, and get the punch there on the Chaos Lord, or maybe like an Exalted Champion with Cackling Blade. Like, I think freeing up some points for a Cackling Blade character would be really good. So, like, maybe you drop one of your Skin Wolves. I think that's fine, and then you go... Because I think you want more output. And I know Skin Wolves have like a level of output, but I don't think they have enough output. And then you could go Cackling Blade and Favor of the Gods. Make sure you've got a shield on there as well. And then get rid of one of these aspiring champions to free up the points. Like, I think that just gives you a lot more oomph. Like, this castle probably still wants Ogre Blade, but also, like, I do see the appeal of the super tanky model. I just don't know that it's enough. Like, I think you probably want him to go around and slap, but then you're not doing the full, Death Star cavalry character, so maybe it's not important. And then we just need to free... Oh, no, we have 12 points available to us, which is... I don't think there are any cults on there. No, that's all good. So we can just go up to... Oh, have you not got... You've got horses. These should have Musician Horseman. I don't know how I missed that the first time around. Musician Horseman. And then we're 6 points over, which means maybe we just drop the unit champion from one of the scores. I think that's probably fine. Something along those lines. Maybe those last few points need to be tweaked around with, but I like the general idea. I think this is just adding some more pressure damage. I think you want some stuff that hits really heavily, cheese. There we go. Perfect. All right, and that takes us to the end of the lists. I'm going to call it a day there. Thank you all. You've all been very, very generous. It's been a great stream. Really enjoyed having a chat, all that good stuff as well. And I'm going to be away this weekend. I will not be around as much, and the reason I held off from saying that earlier was because you were all fucking donating, and I didn't want to feed into that anymore. So it's my birthday on Monday, so I'm going to be a little away from the internet for a couple of days, which will be nice, but I've got some stuff pre-recorded, so from your perspective it's probably not going to make any difference. But looking forwards to having a little bit of a break. It's been very busy the last couple of weeks, and
Thanks,
Yeah.
Mr. Order.
thanks, rat bastard. Lovely stuff. All right. Enjoy your weekend. Hope it's all